Colluding is actually explicitly part of what a psychologist should do, according to Tama Bryant, our APA president. She put out a TED Talk called "We Need to Decolonize Psychology," something like that. She says so she's a liberation psychologist, and they view
liberation psychologist.
Liberation psychologist.
What is that?
So they view themselves as political activists. Therapy is a political act.
This sounds like Soviet era stuff.
And
I was going to say
Mao.
Mengele. I was going to say Mengele.
What?
I was going to say Mengele.
Mengele, Mao, Soviet, they all do the same thing.
They say that
you.
Melba Vasquez is another liberation psychologist. She's a past APA president. She says that it is our job as psychologists to awake the client to their own oppression and then help mobilize them into dismantling oppressive forces.
Well, so like the DSM-5 has a whole range of disorders. And one that I often use is either body integrity disorder or dysphoria, or pica, which you guys, what would happen if someone came in and they said, "No one will let me eat pennies, and I just want to, and I feel that I should be allowed to." What do you have to say to them?
Well, you're the doctor, you're the psychologist, but I'll say from a training perspective, I am trained to affirm how difficult that must be, that you want to eat pennies and you're not able to, and people are oppressing your ability to do what you want with your body. So then we might move into exploring like, oh, is that healthy or whatnot? But
what if they say yes? Like, what if they're like, yes, it is, and I can eat it, and it's fine?
See, there's a teeny tiny grain of truth in the very beginning there, which is, yes, it must be very difficult for you that you want this thing, that you cannot or should not do.
That used to be just alliance building. That used to be just how you built an alliance with a patient. That's
that
all. And
part.
Then go to the truth.
But where
you could, as a therapist, be like, "Wow, you're nuts.
But
you
where
crazy? You don't eat pennies."
The colluding begins when you start saying it's so oppressive that people won't let you do that.
Right.
Because that's where you're breaking from reality. The reality is it's not, the problem isn't that, quote, people won't let you. The reality is that it's really, bad for you and all these other things. It's not a matter of oppression.
But as we're trained as clinicians just to ask questions. Therapeutic wonderment. Wonder what that's about. Wonder why you do that, and let the patient come to their reality. Let them to kind of build the sense of what's going on here.
I know what we need. I'm going to open an unlicensed therapy clinic where it's just, look, you come in and you're saying something like, "I'm having trouble socializing, and it's painful every day I wake up." I'll say, "Well, for starters, you're morbidly obese and you smell bad. So perhaps you could stop eating, exercise, and take a shower, and maybe people will listen." I'm not going to be an alliance. I'm going to tell you.
I actually got to that point at my practice in New York. I think it's actually why people were coming to me. Like, I had this huge wait list. I talk about it in the past because I'm not practicing clinically right now, but I think people were so hungry for a therapist to just actually be real with them, to just say like, well, again, like, as you said, like, well, you're, morbidly obese and you smell terrible. To be able to say like, well, can we have real talk about what you think might be the barriers, between you and your goals, as opposed to saying it's so oppressive that there's.
Are you aware that people are afraid to
phobia.
come to therapists now because of these biases, and that there are organizations developing amongst professionals to try to support each other and being open and unbiased?
Yeah.
Chloe was telling me there's a good data that suggests people will not come get their mental health services because of fear of all this.
Shout out to Open Therapy Institute, actually, OTI, Andrew Hartz in New York. He's amazing. He started Open Therapy Institute. And they're actually offering a training for me about the mental health benefits of free speech, because therapists and clients can go there if they want, like, basically just non-woke therapy.
Can you out crazy someone to make them realize why they're crazy? Like, if a guy came to you and said, "I am a woman and I know I'm a woman," and then you were like, "I know exactly what that's like. I'm a dragon." I'm a mythical dragon trapped in a human's body, and every day I suffer. I know exactly what it must be like for you.
So there is actually, if you're dealing with somebody that has a very severe delusion, like if somebody comes and says like, okay, so the little green men, are talking to me and it's driving me nuts. When they have a very severe psychotic disorder, it actually is helpful to avoid confronting it directly. At first, you might say things like, well, what did the little green men say? When did they first appear? What was going on in your life? So playing along for a deliberate, limited period of time for a therapeutic goal is sometimes does matter, to your point.
Like Shutter Island.
I don't know.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Island. Sorry.
Anyway, continue.
What's Shutter Island?
He's wasn't it like he's on his island investigating something, and then the big reveal at the end is that he's actually a mental patient, and they're allowing him to perform his delusion to see where it goes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so there is a value in that to a certain degree, but when it becomes the whole thing, and then to Naomi's point, you start saying, well, isn't it oppressive that the people around you don't see that as well? You're making the patient worse. Like you're cutting them off, you're deepening, you're colluding and reinforcing that delusion, as opposed to just exploring and probing the delusion so that you can think about how to help the person.
So a question for you guys. There's obvious schizophrenic delusions, like actual brain damage to delusions, where someone says little green men have been whispering in my ears. And what is that called?
Schizophrenia, psychotic disorder, delusion.
I mean, there are psychotic disorders are alive and well and living on the streets of San Francisco and Los Angeles. The most common cause is meth addiction. Methamphetamine causes a severe psychosis. Wow. It can look like schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a chronic illness, has some genetic basis to it. It's a specific thing. And out on the streets, it's hard to tell who's schizophrenic and who's a meth addict and who's bipolar mania. They can also be very wildly psychotic.
So the reason I ask that question is, what if the delusion is developed based on affirmation of falsehoods?
We call
That's
that
exactly
a
what I'm
distortion,
saying.
right?
Yeah.
What is that called? Like
it's bad therapy.
Well, I mean, like if someone comes to you and says, Donald Trump is Hitler, and I heard he just sent in a bunch of white supremacists to kidnap children from poor working families on a produce farm. And this is for example, there was literally an ICE raid yesterday. It was a pot farm. They found child laborers. According to CBP, maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, but there were children there that are believed to be, forced to work there. And so there's an ICE raid to shut it down. Falsehoods are spread by the left intentionally to create
mass psychosis.
I mean, but is it psychosis if their brain is of standard working order? No. But they believe.
Well, I think that would just be a cognitive distortion, right? Because we believe things that are false on a lower level all the time. Oh, my husband doesn't really like me because he, left the dishes in the sink or whatever. But the problem is that in therapy, if I come to you and I say my husband doesn't like me because X, Y, Z, the therapist would presumably challenge the client. But when it is societal level conclusions, it is our job to then collude with the client in those delusions, as evidenced by Taylor
when
Bryant.
NBC is broadcasting and saying, for example, allegedly, just not necessarily, but like if the patient is hearing things on TV and then extrapolating and saying, well, the newsman said that it was adult laborers, but he blinked a certain way, so I knew it was really child laborers, then it's a psychosis on the patient's part. But when the news is feeding people misinformation, then I think people are just the victims, actually.
What would you call that? If someone came to you and said, there are white supremacists currently occupying the White House, and they do Nazi salutes on a regular basis, I know this is true because I've heard it, and it's clearly not true. It doesn't, there's a picture, and
they're just under mind control. I mean,
but is there maybe I should use a more extreme example, like little green men.
Flat Earth is a good one.
Yeah, like something that we can discernibly say at a societal level, we have reason. Like, it's not true, easily disproven, but they're adamant that it is true. Is that it? I would call that delusional.
It is delusional. Mm-hmm. It's delusional, but it's not clinically relevant delusional. It's not something that you would necessarily treat in a therapist's office. You could, by just confronting it and talking about it and looking at it and examining it and allowing the patient to kind of try to get to reality testing. But it is on a mass formation level.
But I have a feeling that if a client went to a therapist with a delusion that was not politically convenient, like, oh, Joe Biden is actually wearing a mask and he's dead or whatever have you, I think that there would be more clinical curiosity, like, you have gone down a road that seems to be maladaptive now. But on the other side, I don't see that, and it's because of the political bias that Chloe is speaking to.
Yeah, one of the big differences as far as like a rubric, Tim, that you're talking about is, is what the patient is saying far outside of social norms, right? And I'm just saying that.
But Tim's trying to get at how, when social norms are divorced from reality, what do we do with that, and what do we call that?
Well, so a couple things. I was genuinely curious. Is there a term for when someone comes in and says the Earth is flat and I know it?
Delusion.
Even though their brain, they're not psychotic. It's just that they watched a bunch of videos that convinced them.
Yeah, we just call it like a limited delusion.
Yeah.
And so then I suppose the issue then becomes what is the action taken by a therapist if you like I suppose you put it well when you said it's political. If someone came in and said Trump is a white supremacist, the presumption of the medical board or whatever, California, is probably they're correct.
Exactly.
Correct.
Well, but if somebody just comes in and has like a limited delusion, you actually have to also, as a psychologist, ask yourself for ethical reasons, is this delusion interfering with their daily life? Is it causing them distress? Like, so if somebody comes to me for marital counseling and I discover that they also happen to be a flat earther, but it's not like related to anything else of why they're coming in, they're functioning fine, I have no business trying to, pull that string with them. But if they come in and they're like staying up all night because the earth is flat, they believe, and they are on a crusade and it's taking over their life, then I address it.
You know what you guys should do in California? You should you're not in California, are you?
No, I moved to the free state of Florida.
Okay, that's better. But if you're in California and you have a therapy practice, set up little speakers in random places of the room, and then when anti-Trump people come in, have a button you can press that will make a random one have a Trump speaks as like, I'm in the room with you. And then when they say, did you hear that? You'd be like, I didn't hear anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
You must be delusional. Thanks for watching this clip from the Culture War podcast. We're live every Friday, 10 a.m. to noon, so subscribe and come hang out.